Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, in January last year, more than 100 members of the public met in Birmingham to begin taking part in the UK's first climate assembly. They were given a crash course in climate change science and were then asked to come up with a list of recommendations for how the country should reach net zero emissions by 2050. A new film follows their journey, which shows that there is a real appetite for an increase in the pace of climate action.
You could be one of over 100 people selected to take part
in the UK-wide Citizens Assembly.
A year ago, Parliament called up a group of randomly selected people to develop solutions to tackle climate change.
What do I know about climate change? Not a lot.
The first UK-wide Citizens Assembly on climate change brought together about 100 people from all walks of life.
I'd like to see it proved. How much is naturally the Earth warming up against what we're doing to it?
Despite disagreement, after 5 months of discussion, the Assembly members agreed on a levy for frequent flyers, a ban on the sale of petrol and diesel cars by 2035, and a switch to a more biodiversity-focused farming system. The biggest takeaway? The people want strong and clear leadership from government.
The UK have proved that they can adapt well to change. Now we just need our governments to lead the way for us all to change.
This is the most important issue of our time. We know as government that there is much more to do.
Ensuring that much more will be done is the UN's climate action champion, Nigel Topping. What we saw was people going through an intensive programme of briefing and education over several days and thinking about this intensely for several weeks. Most people, employees are not going to go through that. So how on earth are you going to achieve the same kind of mind shift in the whole world? Because this is not just about Britain.
I think that it does show that a relatively small amount of education and time immersed in the subjects can be transformational. That's why I think it's no surprise that young people who are having climate change included in their curriculum are so active, is because they're getting it en masse in the way that maybe other generations aren't.
How much resistance do you think is still out there? And is it simply neutralised by information, or are there people who remain resistant?
A lot of the work that I do is with businesses and cities. So people are having to make decisions now about the next 5, 10 years. And then I think there's a very strong sense that this is an inevitable transition, and it's about how do we manage it successfully so that it improves the air, it builds jobs, it builds businesses.
Oh, and what are you able to achieve with the fossil fuel companies? I mean, until the likes of Shell and BP have got net zero commitments, what's the point?
I think the main focus there is on the demand side. Right, you see, if you look at electric vehicles, 5 years ago, the International Energy Agency was saying we'll still be buying combustion engines into the 2080s. The whole industry now is reorientating around the early 30s.
So it's being done to them rather than them signing up and joining you. I mean, if you're supposed to be the sort of the champion, I'm just wondering whether you're getting anywhere with them. So it doesn't sound like it.
It's never the case that change is entirely done to anyone. Everybody's interacting with everybody. So, policymakers will move faster when citizens and companies and cities move. So I think we do see movement from the fossil fuel companies, some of them quite a lot, most of them are not much. None of it's really up to the level of ambition that is needed to meet the Paris Agreement yet, but I think we'll see that as a ratchet progress over the next few years. And importantly, Christian, investors are starting to demand it and are starting to say to the fossil fuel companies and other heavy emitting companies like steel and cement, if you haven't got plans which are in line with Paris, then we're either going to divest from you or start to increase the cost of capital to you. So that signal from the investment community will, I think, really accelerate the pace of change.
Thank you very much. Nigel Topping.